Alright, I should be going live now.
Towards Piney Lane. It's bound to attract some attention with the amount of pistol damage that Abuga is trying to apply to these builds, but Pilot and Flix, they know better. They're just playing side by side. They're essentially telling Bugha and Aviv, this fight's only going to continue if you make sure that you come to us, and at this point, a decent amount of materials having been expended as well by Pilot and Flix, so they just don't seem all that interested in this engagement, though.
I do love how we get to highlight, though, Aviv's prowess here, as he led all player eliminations, 99 elims in round number 3, just really highlighting the fact that Aviv does and has had his incredible moments throughout this season so far. Sitting amongst this best of the best players. Essentially round right now, this here, though, we have to jump in with Cold and Acorn. 2 angles onto Snacky and Mazia. They have no idea Cold's behind them. Something, though, tells them to block a wall behind them, playing it safe. And Snacky, though, no roof there. Cold immediately initiates the fight here. Already under the effects of the bash there to be able to get inside with the nitros. Let's see how it's going to play out here. This is what Cold does best, cutting off his opponents here. They own the top layer. He owns the bottom now as well. And just like that, before they even recognize what happens, each player picks up an elimination. Cold and Acorn come out ahead. Max material count, all the damage that they were looking for. And that's our second place team there. So they're immediate competitors as far as the standings are concerned right now. It's going to jump them straight ahead.
Yeah, it's definitely a massive shutdown by Acorn and Cold.
A huge setback, right?
Exactly, and it's going to leave Snacky and Magia in a position now where, with the 4 remaining lobbies, you know, now they've got that thought in the back of their mind, hey, maybe we have to worry about this Acorn and Cold rotation each time, because they're looking to try and make that move through Deadside instead. Cut off immediately. So, I like the adjustments, though, from Acorn and Cold, and love that pincer maneuver as well. It's just a classic, really, from those two. You see Acorn on the front side of the boxes. You got Cold pressuring from the back. It just doesn't leave a whole lot of wiggle room, and it can be tough to micromanage what's actually occurring when you have the nitro splashes as well, just tearing through builds.
And you have someone who just performs, you know, at his peak when he can take you and be aggressive in a box fight engagement. So Cold has, quite honestly, everything that he needs going for him, and Acorn couldn't be more, you know, have a more suitable duo. We already know that they are, I guess, now becoming one of the most long-standing duos that at least are remaining, right, in the current stage of the, you know, the FSCS as far as the last couple of years are concerned, and they just will continue to perform. I do expect them to be at the top of their game, and the season so far is shaping out to be a very good one here for Cold and Acorn. But Vixen and Blaha Story continues for them. The rotates are in. We gotta love the Nitro Splash, allowing teams and players to utilize this unlimited sprinting. That alone is such a powerful, powerful addition to have onto your player. Vino as well. Looks like Click's utilizing to get their rotate going.
You can see what Veno has in his sights as well. Seems as though they had positioned a little bit earlier on for that forecast tower, but big trouble here for Tayson as Yamzo gonna get picked off. That weapons bunker might have just been their demise. We saw Yamzo run in there, and it only took moments, seconds for Disaster to strike here. Edgy just not letting up the pressure anytime soon.
Wow.
But Tayson is just better. Massive shutdown here as Tayson continues to hold his own. This is so winnable currently for Tayson. You have to imagine that a little bit of panic starts to break out in this kind of circumstance here for Death.
Can we just talk about how deliberate that setup was? And Tayson might just do it again here and find this elimination, utilizing the Nitro Splash to break through the walls now. Secures his elimination. Death is so incredibly hurt right now, but you could just tell he had nothing but bad intentions the moment he walked into that room, positioned himself up, and immediately turned around for the fight. It's like you walked into the trap, the villain's lair, and you had nothing you could do to defend yourself against it. In fact, we should just watch it back one more time. Walks in and just boxes up, teaches Edgy a lesson for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Nitro Splash can definitely empower you, but barreling in blind at times, it can come at a pretty steep price, because that's going to be a tough spot as well for Death to even look for that reboot card. And with that reboot van directly next to where Tayson was at, have to expect that he's going to look to be able to bring Yamzo back into this one. It almost really seems as though Tayson was just annoyed at the fact he's like, what are these two doing? Why are they bothering me and my duo? But yeah, that is not the turnaround that you would want or expect from Edgy's position.
It's really cool to see players that have the capability to perform as a solo really thrive in the current kind of state of the game here. The Nitro Splashes, the cola, right? You just have all the arsenal that you need to either rotate or fight, right? And whatever's your playstyle can perform. Lucas and Bucky here. Gonna take a standoff against Cold and Acorn. They don't quite want this, though. It seems like they were looking to back off, but third party comes in, and all of a sudden now, here comes Acorn and Cold, giving them exactly what they wanted, a piece of a fight. Cold's gonna find his first few tags, and you can see he even pre-popped the cola here, getting into the battle. He's gonna go for the second now as well.
Another tag connected onto Acorn. He'll be able to recuperate his shields, though, as Okus and Bucky, they look to just tag team next to each other one more time. They were a little bit split there, trying to take separate engagements, one applying pressure onto Acorn, the other onto Cold, but they recognized the fact that they needed to reunite. Their best odds whenever a third party gets involved is just to sit tight for a moment. They know Acorn and Cold aren't going to want to just key them when there's another team applying pressure from elsewhere. And Bucky, he's made himself and Okus' strategy very well known. I mean, they're playing for bunkers and Rift Island every single game, and given where Rift Island had spawned in at, can't say I'm surprised to see Bucky and Okus so willing to try and hold down that position.
Do keep in mind, Tayson and Yamzo are playing off the reboot, and now look at this, right back in the game as if they never had that little hiccup occur in the first place. A third elimination as well, assuming that they probably picked one up fighting for the bunker here to get Yamzo's loadout back in order. Vanilla's and Convict on the Rift Island here. The second time now. Seems like they've decided to go ahead and fight for this. They've got much more company this time around here and a lot earlier.
You have to remember, too, a lot of these teams seemingly hurting for materials. Paco, though, what he needs right now is brick more than anything else. And granted, there is plenty of it to be found on Rift Island, but when you are in the vicinity of several other teams,
Acorn.
things can definitely get pretty treacherous here. And yeah, Cold Acorn, they might have seen Bucky and Okus head up to Rift Island, and they wanted to pick up where they left off. But things aren't going to be as easy as they might have originally seemed when they tried to go for that initial 2v2, because now again, you've introduced the interruption factor, these other teams on Rift Island that could potentially come into play. And keep in mind, after that first lobby, this is our 4th and 5th place teams on the leaderboard. But Cold and Acorn, they seem as though they found a little bit of a direction, a little bit of leverage. They're going to try to play things through the actual house itself here on Rift Island, and they might be able to sneak up on Vanillas and Convict, but it's Bucky that they're going to encounter first.
This is big for Cold and Acorn. I mean, what's going through their mind right now is that they're in a situation here where they need the upgrades, but they also need the loot. They need more material, right? They're not quite set up for a big, splashy endgame. So an elimination here, finding a full pickup would be quite favorable so far. They've already found some mini shields. They've already gotten a little bit of mats off of this. What more can they steal now?
Well, for a moment, they were almost in a lot of trouble, but the damage threshold seemingly jumping up in their favor. Booga attempting to rift in and immediately gets knocked out of the skies for it. Well executed play there from Vanillas and Convict. They're just steadily aware, but like the fact that they bailed out of that position from Rift Island. Just too much company for their liking. Rather create some space, box up, and then look to see where they should head next. But they might even be able to scoop up another couple of eliminations if Paco and Forteca aren't careful.
I will say, all credits to Booga. Like, how do you know if there's 4 teams on the Rift Island, right? You know, from his perspective, he's hearing shots go up above.
He's probably just
Cold
trying
and
to rift.
Acorn. Yeah, he's like, oh, this is a great time to rift. They're fighting up there. No, because meanwhile, there's also Vanilla just, you know, up top, not necessarily engaged in the antics happening up here. So, all in all, a little unlucky. Those kind of things are gonna, of course, happen. But Cold and Acorn feels like they are starting to overstay their welcome. And I mean, Okus has got to make a move here. I don't think the Nitro Splash is going to give him any extra whites, so it's all or nothing here now.
At this point, Okus knows that he is toast. Acorn gonna get credit for that elimination. Nitro Splash immediately running off. Now it's all about heading into zone themselves. Bucky likely picked up earlier on by the duo of Cold and Acorn. We'll actually get a moment to take a look back at that action, because right now Cold, we talked about it earlier on, this guy loves to contest other players, especially when it comes to these box fights, and that is a massive bash through the wall and just bashes through Bucky's skull at that point. There is not much left to do when you just immediately receive a shotgun pump to the face.
Live standings update puts Clicks and Vino up in second, trailing behind Tasting Yamza right now. Mero and Pink didn't have a donut game last round. They earned a little something here. Now is where things are going to start to really pick up the pace as we are approaching placement thresholds. A lot going on in the distance, but no opportunities revealing themselves from Mero and Pink just yet. Much more favorable position. Look at this. Vino and Clicks have eyes on the entire low ground and plenty of boxes here to choose from.
What matters right now, though, for Veno and Clicks is if they can control this current position. They don't want to allow any other teams to box up close by to where they're currently located. So it's very important for Veno. He's just adamant as ever, trying to apply some tags, apply some pressure. Those teams a little bit further out. Yamzo and Tayson, though, continuing their steamroll. 6 eliminations now to count. They have definitely been turning on the jets here in this one. And it's crazy to think about because, again, they really did take a pretty early hiccup due to Edgy and Death. And yet it seems as if there was never any interruption at all.
I am curious as to what is What is this team's secret to success right now? Is this the second game now, back-to-back, we've seen them leading with eliminations this early by a pretty wide margin. And not only that, we're talking they're coming out of a peaking, you know, duo Cash Cup performance as well. So there is clearly something that this team knows or understands about the current state of the season that others are just not quite getting. Talking about pretty desperate duos and positions are concerned. Aviv and Bugha not looking too hot right now. Aviv is a solo, just a singular in Elim at the moment.
It's looking like a slightly better game here for Day and Redux, but they'll find themselves, at least Redux, with an elimination here as Miro, Pink, looking to pick up the other now onto Day. They spotted out the fact that at least one of the pair had gotten knocked earlier on. They knew that they could just charge right in off the Nitro Splash, and again, good little materials refresh that they seemingly needed. A couple of players kind of hanging towards the backside of his last zone, but Ozone curious whether or not he's going to be able to find the tags that he needs to get himself above that damage threshold. Right now, the Storm Surge just seeming like his biggest opponent.
I was going to say, we haven't seen Surge last very long yet, although this is only the second game. Look at this, 10 eliminations now for Cold and Acorn. I might have spoke too soon for the likes of Tayson and Yamzo with the elimination leads conversation. And then Cat material as well, so not any pushover duo they just took down. They took down a team that was very well suited for an endgame there.
This is just very much looking like it's like a feast or famine. The teams that are succeeding, we are seeing them just max material count, plenty of shield, ample nitro splashes, and then you've got players like Ozone that are just struggling, depleting every single one of their shield resources that they have. And for what? Because at this point, Ozone, he's just looking for that one extra placement, just a little bit more. Maybe he can find that tag that he needs to come up big, but it's going to be so difficult. If anything, he could play spoiler here for Crackley. Currently, Ozone, though, missed the opportunity. You could tell that he wants to go back for more, but at the same time, when you're dealing with the likes of a duo as a solo, but he's just desperate. He needs damage, and he has to find it now.
I think he was looking back and probably thinking that Crackley was a solo, given the limited amount of tags, and honestly, it might be working out because they have to surge on top of them, and Ozone barrels his way in, misses the down body, though, and those... Oh, no, he did get the tag. Okay,
oh my.
There's the damage he needed. He's at a single HP here. I mean, do you even use the Fizz at this moment? I guess the 15's not going to do much for you, but it's better than nothing to give him some HP to work with here. He needs that loot, and he needs it now. And there he is, going to start ever slowly working his way towards it. Still very much cautious. There's a fish. There's 4 fish. Okay, that's actually a major find right now.
But is it enough is the real question. We are watching Ozone, though, just continue to try and secure placement points, if anything. That extra elimination definitely paying off for him, buying him just a couple more seconds, if anything. But when you look up at height, it's all about Vorteca and Paco. And they are fairly far up currently, MDF. Without the Boombo, you would think that height could be free, but the chop out, not going to be too much of a threat. Vorteca still had an Underworld dash to use, but now it does expose them to that secondary height layer and potentially getting overthrown if they're not careful. They've got to make sure that they continue to suppress these lower layers. Otherwise, they might find themselves getting chopped again, but this time eliminated.
Yeah, we have yet to see a team take height that early, that high, and be successful. For Ozone, he's just fighting a completely different demon down here. He's got no surge, he's solo, barely any shield to work with. Whatever overshield is going to give him the confidence at this point. And this is just a tough spot, but he is clutching up, doing his best. Already we've seen him earn at least 10 points on his own here, which is massive. Clix and Vino still alive there. Tayson alive as well. Here's Clix and Vino's perspective. Looking a little worse for Wares. A lot of heals to work with, but no time as they're in a race against the clock here to get to the front side of zone. They're looking up, trying to get this back-to-back right now. The edits are open.
Again, Paco and Vorteca relatively high up. Veno and Clix likely gonna look to start chopping sometime soon, but they're still trying to be careful. Cold didn't see it coming. Gets knocked and taken down there by Miro. So one more time, we're gonna have to see how Acorn is going to operate throughout the rest of this match. Miro, he's got the option there for the Infinite Nitro Medallion. Not sure if he actually had an opportunity to pick it up or not, but he knows he just got to keep tarping forward, keep things moving.
Look at high ground.
Because the moment that he slows down, they're gonna look to take over.
Vino looking to defend height right now. Is this Bryson Bolts trying to go for it? It's going to cost Vino everything and Clix. And in the end, it cost them the material, no eliminations. And Vino has to opt to jump down now as Bolts tries to chop them out, but the damage has already been done to both parties here. Clix and Vino respond accordingly there. And now 40 mats remaining. That's just 4 builds if you do the math here. So very tough position for Clix and Vino, but not impossible to secure the win now, as all they would need is a small refresher here. Bolts hit by another team, so Sphinx, Paco, Dukes, it's just a melting pot of action happening here on the mid-ground layer. Sphinx breaking his way into the builds, met with a huge shotgun shot. It is just tough stories unfolding here. And Miro wants nothing to do. He's like, all right, I'm just going to take the placement points. Let me just heal this one out. Ride slowly here into the sunset.
And Veno and Clix, though, they've done a decent job at just maintaining their current height leverage. The zone maybe going to do them a slight favor here. Click's going to opt to drop, though. He didn't have any builds. He's just looking to get eliminations, cause some disruption towards these teams on the low ground. Veno going to drop another layer or two. And again, just working his way down. Knock after knock, elimination to secure it. Veno going back to back here with the victory royales.
I was going to say, the moment I saw the cliff getting the zone pulled over it, that was it. All Veno had to do was ride out the safety of the zone, and he does just that. And in valiant efforts, Clix, of course, jumps into the mix there to throw his hat in the ring, put his damage down, and in the end, they go back to back now. And all right, I think eyebrows are being raised here on the NA region with Vino and Clix absolutely popping off right now, playing exceptionally well, and you just don't get any better than this. There's the tag onto Pars. What a beautiful, beautiful shot there to win it all. And Clix and Vino do it again, this time in even more spectacular fashion, as Clix was a part of that conversation all the way through to the end game there.
You can just tell the amount of trust, though, that Clix had in his duo. Typically, when you see a team in that kind of position, you might maybe have them contemplating, okay, do we split the little bit of materials that we have left, give Clix at least one wall to work with? But no, Veno, he said, I got you. And well, the rest is history. Game number 2 has been locked down one more time by Clix and Veno, but we'll be right back with even more game action after this short break.
When you love the environment, you work to protect it. The Subaru Solterra electric SUV, Subaru's first all-electric, zero-emissions SUV.
We've got some catching up to do.
Sure do.
Built to help you protect the environment as you explore it. Love. It's what makes Subaru, Subaru.
Hey, Meta, take a photo. Hey, Meta, look and translate that sign.
It says, dance all night.
True comfort can't be faked. Neither can our strawberries. Fall in love with new Haagen-Dazs New York strawberry cheesecake. That's Dazs.
Tryna hit that, then let me get that. Tryna hit that, then let me get that.
Chipotle's Chicken Al Pastor is back, and it's fire on every level. Fresh chicken, hot off the grill, mixed with morita peppers, a splash of pineapple, and fresh lime. It's where fire meets flavor. Chipotle's Chicken Al Pastor. The wait is over.
Is someone trying to steal your Butterfinger? Call the BFI. Game over. No one